Nora was the kind of girl everyone admired. She carried herself with grace and virtue, a young woman whose presence inspired respect. From a young age, Nora had been taught the values of modesty, faith, and self-respect. She was careful with her words, her actions, and always lowered her gaze. People saw her as an example. Teachers praised her discipline, friends admired her faith, and even strangers could sense her quiet strength. She was the kind of person who made promises to herself and kept them. When she started university, she made a silent vow. "I will never engage in unnecessary talk with men. I will stay focused on my studies, guard my heart, and remain true to my values." For a long time, Nora lived up to this. Her days were filled with purpose and peace, a simple, predictable, and safe routine. But life, as Nora would soon learn, has a way of testing even the strongest of resolves. It all began with a single notification on her phone. One evening, as she was studying, her phone buzzed. It was a message on Instagram from Omar, a fellow student. The message was simple. "Hi." But before Nora could even think, the message disappeared. She stared at her screen, puzzled. Was it a mistake? The next day it happened again. Another message from Omar, and again it vanished. At first, Nora brushed it off as a glitch, reminding herself of her promise. But temptation works in subtle ways, planting seeds of distraction where there was once clarity. A few weeks later, Nora needed information about a university fest and heard Omar was on the organizing committee. For the first time, she had a legitimate reason to speak to him. She hesitated but eventually sent a brief, polite message. Omar replied promptly, his tone respectful and professional. The conversation was short and to the point. Nora felt relieved. But that single brief exchange opened a door she had vowed to keep shut. From that day on, Nora and Omar began to interact more frequently. At first, their conversations were strictly about school. But as time passed, their chats became more casual. They shared jokes, talked about their interests, and discussed their dreams. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Nora found herself looking forward to Omar's messages. She began to trust him, to confide in him. Deep down, Nora knew something was wrong. Guilt weighed heavily on her heart. The girl who had once avoided unnecessary interactions with men was now eagerly waiting for a message every day. She tried to convince herself their friendship was innocent, but her conscience grew louder with each passing day. One evening, after a long conversation with Omar, Nora sat alone, her heart in turmoil. She knew she had to make a choice. Summoning her courage, she decided to confront him. "This is wrong," she typed, her fingers trembling. "If you truly care about me, come to my father when the time is right. Let's not continue this." To his credit, Omar responded with respect. He agreed their relationship shouldn't continue in secret and promised that when the time was right, he would approach her family. Nora felt a sense of relief, believing her test was finally over. She thought she had regained control, but temptation wasn't done with her yet. Days turned into weeks. Nora tried to focus on her studies and her faith, avoiding unnecessary interactions and seeking comfort in prayer and supportive friends. But one day, out of the blue, Omar reached out again. This time his words were different. They weren't filled with hope or promises, but with resignation. "Nora, I don't think I can come to your father," he wrote. "It takes too much time, and I think waiting is of no use." Nora froze. The words echoed in her mind, each one cutting deeper than the last. Her heart, which she had guarded so carefully all her life, shattered. She felt betrayed, lost, and utterly helpless. The pain was overwhelming. For the first time, Nora allowed herself to cry, the weight of heartbreak pressing down on her chest. Her friends soon noticed the change. The once cheerful Nora had become withdrawn and quiet. The easy smile was gone, and her eyes carried a deep sadness. One day, a close and wise friend approached her gently. "Is everything okay, Nora?" she asked, her voice filled with concern. That was all it took. Nora broke down and poured out her heart, sharing all the pain and confusion. Her friend listened patiently, offering comfort and wisdom. "Don't let your sadness define you, Nora," she said softly. "If he truly loves you, he will come to your father. And if he doesn't, trust that you are being protected from something that is not meant for you. Sometimes what feels like heartbreak is actually a blessing in disguise. Those words were a wake-up call. Nora realized she had a choice: stay trapped in her emotional turmoil or heal and rebuild. Nora chose healing. She threw herself into her faith, increasing her prayers and seeking solace in the words of the Quran. She spent more time with her family and friends, surrounding herself with people who uplifted her. She remembered the wise saying, "A person is influenced by the company they keep." Nora made a conscious effort to keep good company, to seek out those who inspired her to be her best self. Her prayers became her refuge. Every night she pleaded with her Creator, "If Omar is meant for me, let things fall into place naturally. But if he is not, grant me peace and the strength to move on." Through her pain, Nora grew stronger. She learned the importance of patience, trust, and believing in a greater plan. Her heart found peace in knowing that the right path is always better than her own desires, no matter how difficult it seems. Nora's story is a lesson for all of us. No matter how far we think we've strayed, hope is always near. If you take one step toward growth, life will meet you halfway. If you are struggling with a similar situation, know that you are not alone. Turn your fears into prayers, protect your heart, and choose long-term happiness over fleeting emotions. Every sacrifice you make for the right reasons will be rewarded in ways beyond your imagination. And remember, your journey isn't about perfection. It's about progress and sincerity. Nora chose progress over perfection, and so can you. In the end, Nora emerged from her heartbreak not as a victim, but as a survivor. She learned that true strength lies not in never falling, but in rising every time you fall. Her story is a testament to the power of faith, resilience, and the unbreakable spirit of a young woman who chose to stay true to herself, no matter how difficult the path. And so Nora's story continues, not as a tale of heartbreak, but as a journey of hope, healing, and redemption. Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more content like this.